Chag Sameach. There is an opening passage in our Machzor for Rosh Hashanah morning that reads, "Here in this place of prayer and song, hear the call that stirs the soul. All may enter, let none stand apart. Sisters and brothers, how beautiful and how good. How beautiful and how good, and how very, very different is this year. Rosh Hashanah offers us the opportunity for growth and for change. And in a year when most of us would prefer stability and the familiar, we are especially grateful that you are with us. So thankful for your willingness to stretch and to do something none of us has ever done before. So please join us in prayer, in song and in spirit, as we begin with the singing of Ma Tovu, how beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, fitting as we gather in our temporary prayer spaces this morning until we can all of us gather together again. How beautiful are these spaces into which you have invited us and that invite us in together. Please join us in the singing of Ma Tovu. Said Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, "In every action, we must regard our own body as the Holy of Holies, a part of the supreme power on earth. that is, as a manifestation of the divine, and whenever we lift our hands to do a deed, let us consider them to be God's instruments. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot.
Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorai.
Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorai. Taberata, tayitzarta, atarefata bi, ve'ata meshamera, meshamera mikribi.
Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorai.
Elohai,
Elohai, Elohai, neshama,
shenatata bi
shenatata bi tehorai.
Beloved friend who calls us to conscience, reminds us of our own strength, invites us to grow, empowers us to act. Cosmic mysteries are yours, but the earth is ours to tend and heal as best we can. Beloved partner in creation, we join our strength with yours to make you real and true.
Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol Batishbachot, El HaHodaot, Adon HaNiflaot, Habocher B'Shirei Zimra, Melech El Chei HaOlamim. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of praise, source of the impulse to give thanks, crown of wonders who desires a world filled with song and a universe of life. We continue with our call to worship, and we invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise. Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir, v'nizchechu lanu mehera le'oro. May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamerot.
Bring us in peace from the four corners of the earth. Lead us with an upright pride to the land that is ours. For you are a God of miracles and wonders. From all the peoples of the earth you sought us out and brought us near to your great enduring truth. So with love we acknowledge and proclaim that you are one. Our praise to you, Adonai. You have singled out your people Israel with love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher bi'amo Yisrael bi'ahava.
Adonai
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The voice that redeems us comes from within. Said Rabbi Eleazar Hamodai, "Consider the courage of Israel. When Moses said to the people in Egypt, 'Arise and go forth,' they did not ask, 'How can we go into the wilderness with no sustenance for the way?' They had faith and went forward."
צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדיינו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We invite you, please, to rise for the tefillah.
Adonai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Belohei Avotenu v'Imateinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונך הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות צבאות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Raf le'Hoshia, Morit Hatal. מחלקל חיים בחסד, מחייך הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים רפא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מחמוך כל גבורות ומטעם מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מחמוך פועלך בעניים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים, לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. Amen.
Please be seated. Rabbi Aaron Penkin of blessed memory said, "Our actions help us live in such a way that when we suffer life's darkest depredations, we will always have ways of coping with them. Our actions may not change the ultimate outcome one iota, but they alter our attitude and they bolster our ability to withstand challenges, help us handle unavoidable misfortunes better, and see life's value amid chaos and dismay." Unatana tokef kidushat hayom. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. In truth you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark and imprint like no other.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun, yekatevun, v'yom tzom kippur yechatemun. Rosh Hashanah yikatevun, yekatevun, v'yom tzom kippur yechatemun, yechatemun. Rosh Hashanah yekatevun, yekatevun, v'yom tzom kippur yechatemun, yechatemun. Yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, yai, nai, yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, yai, nai, nai.
On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted?
Uteshuva, utefila, utsedaka, amavirin etra hagezera.
But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We continue together with the Kedusha. We sanctify your name in the world, as celestial song sanctifies you in realms beyond our world, in the words of your prophet, "Holy, holy, holy is the God of heaven's hosts. The fullness of the whole earth is God's glory. God of strength who gives us strength, God of might who gives us might. How magnificent the signs of your being throughout the earth. Blessed is the splendor that shines forth from the eternal. Our God is one, Avinu and Malkeinu, sovereign source of life and liberation, revealing with mercy to all who live. I am Adonai, your God. The eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations. Zion. Hallelujah.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong.
You are holy, your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness.
You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this Shabbat and this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, remembered and cherished in our hearts, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our people's going out from Egypt. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel, may we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of remembrance. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu bo l'tova. Amen. Ufokdenu vo livracha. Amen. V'hoshienu vo l'chaim. Amen. Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. And we all say, Amen. We invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise. In a moment, we will hear the call of the shofar, which pleads with us not to slumber, but to stay awake, and to be ready for the work that is needed. The shofar expresses our fears, our hopes, our unknowns. It is the song without words, the prayer without words, and the cry we need to heed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sheheyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Tekiah. Shavarim Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shavarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah. Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh hashabbat v'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. Ratzeh Adonai Eloheinu, be'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel beratzon, u'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, el karov l'chol korav, panei el avadecha v'chonenu, shafoch ruchucha aleinu v'techazena einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion v'rachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato l'tzion.
Giver of life and all good gifts, grant us also wisdom to use only what we need, courage to trust your bounty, imagination to preserve our resources, determination to deny frivolous excess, and inspiration to sustain through temptation.
Yitbarach, v'yitramah.
We continue with the priestly benediction, awakening the blessings that are already in our lives. We turn to the threefold blessing.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך. ירא אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Barchenu bebracha meshuleshet haktuva b'Torah. Our God, divine presence, whose path our ancestors walked, bless us now with words first bestowed on Israel in the time of Moses and Aaron, the threefold blessing given us through Torah that joins our hopes with theirs. May you know God's blessings of shelter and care. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May you see God's favor and goodness, and may you partake of God's peace. As these words reverberate, we continue in silence, in meditation, in prayer. Let us turn our prayers to the great many who are in need at this time as we say, Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors bring the blessing of health to those who are ill and those who are hurting. Let us hold in our hearts and our prayers all those who are struggling and who are in need of strength and healing and patience and courage. As we say, bless all those who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, who navigate the unfolding dangers of the world each day to tend to those they have sworn to help. Bless them in their coming home and bless them in their going out. Ease their fear, sustain them, source of all breath, healer of all beings. Protect them and restore their hope. Strengthen them that they may bring strength. Keep them in health that they may bring healing. Help them know again a time when they can breathe without fear. Bless the sacred work of their hands. For all who are experiencing weakness of body, or weakness of spirit, all those whom you love. Let strength and renewal come soon. Let us join together in saying, Amen. It is my honor to welcome our president, Keith Greer, to join us. Never could he have imagined leading us through a time like this, and we are so very grateful for his wisdom, his kindness, his skills, and his dedication.
Last year, I stood before you and offered my thoughts on the concept of transition. We were preparing for the retirement of Rabbi Katz and the changes that are associated with a new senior rabbi. Rabbi Till's move to senior rabbi, along with shifts in congregational and Jewish community demographics, presented us with a wonderful opportunity to reimagine who we are as a Reformed Jewish congregation. As we head into our new year, I would like to share where our unique transition process has taken us and where we are looking to go in the future, all with a keen focus on continuing to make the necessary decisions to meet the changing needs of our congregants. Last fall, we participated in the Union for Reform Judaism Congregational Assessment and Benchmarking Project. 318 of our congregants responded to the email invite and answered a series of questions assessing their connection to and perspective on Temple Sinai. In response to the question, would you recommend Temple Sinai to friends and family, 93% of our respondents said yes. This is a powerful testament to all that is positive and meaningful about our congregants' connection to Temple Sinai. 75% of respondents said yes when asked, are you forming or have you formed meaningful relationships through Temple Sinai programming? Another extremely positive statistic that we can all feel proud of. And yet, as neither of these questions were answered 100% in the affirmative, we know that we still have work to do in successfully engaging you, our congregants, in the various facets of Temple life. To that end, here are a few conversations that are either already taking place or are about to begin that will challenge us as a congregation to, 1, honestly assess past policy, procedure, and programming, 2, monitor any tendency to say, but this is how we have always done things at Temple Sinai, and 3, embrace new perspectives, models, and practices that honor the current forces that impact congregational life. Your Board of Trustees is fully engaged in assessing the most up-to-date thinking within the larger Reformed Jewish community on what we all know is a difficult and somewhat uncomfortable topic for many: each congregant or congregant family's commitment to the financial health of Temple Sinai. One could make a cogent argument that for many generations, the traditional dues model has been successful in sustaining congregations. There are, however, some promising new models that move the conversation away from dues or adjusted dues, or a conversation that for some has always felt somewhat transactional, to one that is grounded in a more philanthropic perspective. The word philanthropy comes from the Greek, roughly translating to loving humankind. A more philanthropic approach to this topic is relationship-based. It is predicated on making, honoring, and maintaining our relationship with each congregant, ensuring that they have the opportunity to identify their unique connection to Temple Sinai, and in return, Temple Sinai regularly communicates back how much we value each member of our community and the support they voluntarily choose to provide. More to come on this topic over the next few months. Temple Sinai has always taken great pride on the quality of the Jewish education that we provide for our children, under the leadership of Alana Dar and Pauline Rosenberg, and benefiting from the compassion, skills, and amazing creativity of our teachers. Our school plays a key role in the transmission of Jewish values, morals, and rituals. And yet, at this time when we are asking some very big, how are we doing questions, Temple-wide, we want to bring a similar lens to our school. At the conclusion of this High Holy Day period, a task force will be created to identify all that we continue to do well, along with making recommendations to the board regarding possible new education models, curriculum, and structures. I look forward to the outcome of this crucially important conversation. When I last stood up here talking with you about transition, I had no idea that we would have the opportunity to participate in one of the most profoundly important and complex transitional conversations of our time, our move to a society that truly and with action addresses the issues of social inequity, social injustice, and systemic racism. Who knows better than us the impact and potential outcome of being deemed as the marginalized other? Our obligation is not to simply be in the conversation, but to lead the conversation. Your Temple Sinai Social Action Committee has been hard at work in this area, laying out a full calendar of thought-provoking and educational events that are open to all congregants. If you are interested in becoming more involved in any of our social action initiatives, please call the office or speak to any committee member. Found firmly under the heading of necessity is the mother of invention, our congregational move onto the Zoom platform, while never a full replacement for praying and learning together in person, has ushered us into an exploration of the potential role of technology in keeping us connected. This important dialogue will continue into the future as we identify aspects of congregational life and ritual practice where an online presence not only makes sense, but extends and enhances how we interact with our congregation. This past August 29th, our second lay-led service of the summer took place on Zoom that included 75 congregants participating in a meaningful, creative, and multi-generational Shabbat experience that was both inspiring and tear-inducing. For those that were in attendance, I'm sure you would agree that this service was not only a deeply spiritual experience, but could be easily viewed as an absolute work of art that would not be duplicatable if we were all physically in the sanctuary. I look forward to our continued exploration of how best to utilize a combination of in-person and technology-based ritual practice, social programming, and learning experiences. I thank you all for your flexibility, sensitivity, and understanding regarding our decision to close our building due to COVID-19. We will continue to take steps to honor the physical health of you, our congregants, while at the same time eagerly anticipating the day that we can again come together to enjoy the serenity of our beautiful sanctuary, the physical presence of each other, and the energy of communal prayer. And at the top of my list would be to once again be able to bite into a piece of Bernice's challah. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not ask you to join me in sending along a message of thanks and deep appreciation to Rabbi Till and Cantor Braun. It is next to impossible to describe the amount of work, creativity, and time required to create this year's High Holy Day experience in the middle of a global pandemic that has turned our world upside down. We are blessed to be led by these two amazing women. As always, I invite you to give me a call to share your thoughts, suggestions, concerns, and ideas. Our building is closed, but the compassionate and vibrant community that is Temple Sinai is open. We are here for you. Let us know what you need. Carol and I and our entire family wish you a Shana Tova.
We continue with Avinu Malkeinu, and we invite you please in body or in spirit to rise. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu, Avinu Malkeinu Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Ol Aleinu Ve'tapenu, Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever V'cherev V'ra'av Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu Kotbenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim, Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'Haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'Haneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed.
Please be seated. Were we gathered together this morning, it would be at this moment that we would turn to our Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the reading of Torah, which will instead take place this afternoon at 2 p.m., and we are so hopeful that you will join us at that time for both Torah reading and Torah discussion at 2 p.m. A heart surgeon took his car to his local garage for routine maintenance, and as usual, he exchanged a little friendly banter with the respected owner, a skilled but not exceptionally wealthy man. "So tell me," said the mechanic, "I have been wondering about..." I gotta start that again, sorry. A heart surgeon took his car to his local garage for routine maintenance. And as usual, he exchanged a little friendly banter with the well-respected owner, a skilled but not exceptionally wealthy mechanic. "So tell me," said the mechanic, "I've been wondering about what we both do for a living and how much more than me you get paid." "Yes," said the surgeon. "Well, look at this," said the mechanic, indicating a big, complicated engine on which he was working. "I open it up, check how it's running, fix the valves, and put it all back together so it works as good as new. We basically do the same job, don't we? Yet you are paid 10 times more than I. So how do you explain that?" And the surgeon thought for a moment, smiled kindly, and replied, "Now, try it with the engine running." Last night, as we began this new year together, we spoke about the Hebrew word mashber, which can mean shattered or broken, and how this same word can also be used to describe the birthing stools that a woman kneels upon in the last, most painful and difficult moments of labor before she brings new life into this world. There is deep significance in recognizing and naming a moment that profoundly upsets a balance. So let me say, there is no mistaking that these holy days are unlike any other, painful and difficult, marked by sadness, loneliness, anger, and fear, all of which stand at the opposite end to how we hope to start a new year. This morning, as we wade deeper into the newness of the year 5781, we are asked to look with candor at the year gone by. As Rabbi Lauren Lieber says, a year of decision-making lies behind us and demands accounting, and a year of decision-making lies before us and poses for each of us a fundamental challenge. Will we stumble as we cross the threshold? Will we manage to leave some of our waywardness behind? Rosh Hashanah is a time for starting fresh, for taking stock, and for identifying ways to be better, not ways to be perfect. At Rosh Hashanah, we confront not only our responsibility for what we are able to do and change, but also how little control we have. In a year punctuated by a devastating health pandemic and staggering bigotry and racism, it is not just that some of us are the mechanic and some the heart surgeon. Some of us are that car in need of routine maintenance and a checkup, and some are that patient with a heart that needs repair. So let us look back and ahead, taking an account and plan for that which is in our control. These last 6 months have been unimaginable, from shutting down our places of work, learning, and worship to radically changing how we move through our everyday, masked, far from one another, and ever aware of a lurking and invisible enemy. It has, at the same time, been an extraordinary mix of uncertainty and resilience, kindness and clarity. In mid-March, a remarkable group of over 50 volunteers from Temple Sinai, concerned about the impact of social distancing, began making calls to our over 520 households just to check in. So some of you are the callers and some of you are on the receiving end, but undoubtedly, all of us have been enriched by the deep, deep kindness that motivated this initiative, making ever clearer the knowledge that our temple is so much more than a building. Then, in a rich and beautiful tapestry of congregants of all different ages and stages, 2 beautiful and powerful lay-led Shabbat morning services were held over the summer, with over 100 people participating in leading, offering us the opportunity to know one another better through prayer, through song, and through words of Torah. Following that, for 29 days, you heard and hopefully were moved by the profound thoughts and insights shared by fellow congregants during the month of Elul, preparing each of us for these awe-filled days. And the kindness continues, as our warmest gratitude must also go to our essential workers in temple leadership, led by our dedicated and skilled President Keith Greer, along with all of you who lead and work in committees, the staff of the religious school, the office, my dear colleagues, and all of you who come to services, come to programs, classes, and drive-by parades, and who have ensured that things continue smoothly, meaningfully, and with the kindness and involvement that are at the very heart of Temple Sinai. So that when that most unexpected call for a checkup came, when that close look under the hood was required, there was already in place an unwavering commitment to your safety, closely followed by ensuring that all is in good working order. And we have been doing blessedly well on so many fronts. All of these are what keep our Ner Tamid, our eternal light, glowing. All of these keep us a Kehila Kedosha, a holy community, despite our need for physical separation. Part of our communal health and our upkeep is living true to our core Jewish values, especially in this bizarre and troubling stretch of time. While COVID-19 is the invisible and relentless new enemy we are attempting to combat by worshiping at home, the scourge of bigotry and racism is not invisible, but it is every bit as relentless. We turn to our traditional and unambiguous teaching from Leviticus 19 to instruct us, and which states, "You shall not hate your kinsfolk in your heart. Reprove your kinsman, but incur no guilt because of him. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your countrymen. Love your fellow as yourself. I am the Eternal." And yet we know, as we see, especially at this moment here in Rochester, that for centuries this has been ignored. Worse yet, this has been trampled on for those who are marginalized, those who are black and brown. And we know that despite the abolishment of slavery in 1865, systemic oppression, police violence, and racial discrimination against black Americans and people of color continues today. Lynchings, Jim Crow laws, restricted access to the ballot box, a biased criminal justice system, and redlining are just some examples of how racial inequality has been sustained in American life. And that systemic disparities and injustices will endure unless proactive steps are taken to acknowledge and eliminate them. Our Religious Action Center for Reform Judaism tells us this, and our daily read of the local and national news tells us this. So at this season, when the question of who we are and who we aspire to be is at the core of our Rosh Hashanah liturgy, and more notably at the core of our heart's desire, let us heed the words of our Torah, to love your fellow as yourself. Words made even more poignant by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who, when asked, "Who is a Jew?" answered, "A person whose integrity decays when unmoved by the knowledge of wrong done to other people." Our city and country are perpetuating terrible and unimaginable wrongs to people of color, and the heart of our nation is sick. At this season of moral reckoning, we let not our integrity decay. We know we must not turn away. We must honor our covenantal relationship with God with more than our words. Our chesed, our resilient love, ought to be twinned with our responsibility for one another and together propel us to act. So many are already engaged, and so many more are turning to our bold and tireless Temple Sinai Social Action Committee, who are developing a comprehensive plan for action and who have already provided us critically important opportunities with more to come. Action might well look different for each of us, as some will gather, some will protest, some will become better educated and aware, some will write postcards, some will make phone calls, some will reach out to elected officials, some will donate, some will place a sign on their lawn, some will advocate for voting reform, and some, as Reverend Marlo Washington shared with us, will weep with those who are tired and broken, and then take them home and feed them. The Torah's unbending demand for justice is to read and to live. The liturgy we offer today, we hope, will lead us to pray with our feet. We say, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice, justice shall we pursue. This season of teshuvah, of looking back in order to look ahead, admitting our mistakes, individually and collectively, big and small, and working to change them, implores us to look deeply at ourselves, to do the work, and to stay the course. In this moment, when so much seems to be out of our control, this is not. Now is when we align our action with our prayers, to confront our responsibility for what we are able to do and change, to be strong and decent, just and kind, so that when we hear the words, Zochrenu l'chaim, Melech chafetz b'chaim, v'chotvenu b'sefer chaim, l'mancha Elohim chaim, remember us for life, Sovereign God who treasures life, and inscribe us in the book of life. For your sake, O God of life, that our hearts will be upright, our deeds will speak for themselves, and both for the work we do and the work we aspire to do, we can all of us say, Ken yehi ratzon, let it be so. We continue with our concluding prayers with the Elenu, and we invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו לשומרי הרמה, והוא שמנו לשליחי התורה, שהוא שם חיינו איתם, וגורלנו עם כל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we prepare to offer the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, allow me first to share these words from Rabbi Deborah Hatchen. This is a Kaddish for those who died before we identified the virus, and for those who died after we knew it was spreading among us. This is a Kaddish for those who died on ventilators and those for whom there were not enough ventilators. This is a Kaddish for those who believed in science and those who did not believe in science. This is a Kaddish for those who were infected at work and those who brought it home from work and infected others. This is a Kaddish for those whose already weakened bodies made them vulnerable, and for those who thought they were invulnerable. This is a Kaddish for those who succumbed in care facilities and those who were doomed by the carelessness of others. This is a Kaddish for those who did their best to shelter in place, and for those who had no place to shelter. This is a Kaddish for the family and friends we lost, and for those lost to all humanity. This Shabbat, we are mourning the recent loss during the period of Shloshim, these last 30 days, of Daniel Prude, Carol Goldstein, sister of Susan Hyman, Liza Birdman, mother of Amelia Kaiserman, Bruce Greenberg, brother of Linda Winters, Susan Platt, mother of Linda Platt, and Les Abramovitz. Today also marks the art site the anniversary of passing for Molly Barnett, Joan Baxter, Irving Berlowitz, Ruthie Bershad, Lois Bissett, Albert Brownstein, Aaron Buckman, Samuel Epstein, Elsa Fenster, Lillian M. Ford, Jenny Francis, Robert Froelich, Herman Ginsberg, Rose Hare, Sarah Herdefeld, Joyce Kuttner, Rose Lewis, Ruth Lewis, Esther Liff, Stephen Moss, Ruth Marcus, Francis Menon, Anna Novozenitz, Jacob Oxfeld, Milton Rapkin, Ruth Reiser, Bernard Rush, Rose, Theodore Rothschild, Lucille Rutberg, Lillian Gordon Schifrin, Phyllis Seidman, Hazel Silver, John Simonetti, and Sidney Yarmel. We say Zichronam, may their memories be for a blessing, and we invite you please to join us in the Mourner's Kaddish. Our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider, much wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing in this new year and always. We join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Ve'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved, as we all of us join together in saying, Amen. And please be seated. We share with you some brief announcements this morning. We want to encourage you to attend the alternative service at 11:30 a.m. this morning. If you have not had an opportunity yet to worship there, it is another wonderful opportunity to pray and to sing and to lift your voices together and to be in community. Please also join us at 2 p.m. this afternoon as we have an opportunity to hear our Torah reading for the day and also to engage in Torah study with our student Rabbi Leah Nussbaum. 2 p.m., please do join us. Tomorrow we have Rosh Hashanah services at 10 a.m., and you can find the link on our website for that as well. And on Wednesday we have religious school starting at 4:30 p.m. and our adult education Musar class at 7 p.m. On September 25th, we have our Erev Shabbat service at 6 p.m., and then on Saturday morning, regular Torah study at 9:15 and Shabbat morning services at 10:30. And then on Sunday, September 27th, please join us for Kol Nidre services, which will begin at 8 p.m., but preceded by our food drive from 4 to 6 p.m., ordinarily held at the JCC. But please take special note that we are having a collection here at Temple from 4 to 6 p.m., and the goal is for us to raise at least 2,000 pounds, maybe even to surpass that in this year. For the Brighton Food Cupboard. We invite you please to bring your non-perishable goods. You will see a listing of items that the food pantry is in need of collecting, and we ask you please from 4 to 6 to bring that to Temple. And on Monday, September 28th, we have our full lineup of services, which you can find on our website and in snippets as well, with our Young Family service at 9:30 a.m., our traditional service at 10 a.m., our music, meditation, and dialogue for our teens at 10:30 a.m., and our family and contemporary service at 11:30 a.m. All of that is followed at 2 p.m. with our Torah reading and Torah study, again with our student Rabbi Leah Nussbaum at 2 p.m., and we hope that you can join us then. On Yom Kippur afternoon, please note that our Yisker Memorial Service will begin at 4 p.m. and Ne'ilah at 5:15. Special thank you to Cantor Renata Braun, to our student Rabbi Leah Nussbaum, to Irina Lupinus, to Ilan Adar for his always stirring sounding of the shofar, to our temple office staff for all of their preparation day in and day out, to Lindsay Hagan and Wendy Beller-Madway and the entire Religious Practices Committee, for Ellen Goldenberg and Lindsay Hagan and all of their work putting together our honors, to Rick Rizzo and Bruce Dunn, without whose expertise and extensive audio-video expertise and patience and genius, none of this would have been possible. We thank you. Let me also please thank our Torah readers who will be joining us this afternoon at 2 p.m., along with thanking Ilana Dar, Pauline Rosenberg, and Leah Sherman for the children's service this morning, and Marilyn Fenster, Rachel Greer, and Alex Reeder for the teen gathering. We are so grateful for all of the hands and all of the hearts that made our beginning of services possible. Please join us this afternoon. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, shetichadesh aleinu shana tova u'mituka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, May your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a healthy year. May it be a sweet year. For the last sounding of the shofar, we invite you, please, to rise. Tekiah Gedolah. We wish you Lashana Tova Tekatevu V'Techatemu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good, a sweet, and a healthy new year.
L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana